So I'm back interviewing Robert Bob Aaron of Aaron & Aaron, a very old law firm, second generation. And on our last discussion, we talked about probate and the process of probate. What about today? They've changed the law. What about the appraisal of possessions, Bob? How complicated is that? Like, what's the ruling now?
I don't think there is a ruling. I think the courts will accept whatever you say. So, for example, if there's a set of sterling silver, do you appraise it at what the replacement cost is or what the melt value is? And I think the courts will just accept whatever you put down because there's no rule.
Let's talk about sophistication for a minute. It's easy in a way. There's a lot of people out there that are appraisers of stamp collections, coin collections. That's a given. Even vintage automobiles. But what happens if somebody's a very specialized collector? I'll give you an example. Movie posters, comic books. I mean, it gets to be difficult to find. The onus is on you to appraise it, but the appraiser may cost more than the value of the collection.
Well, when that happens, I think people just take a stab and they say, well, this is what my deceased relatives spent on this stuff, $100,000. If I take it into a dealer, they're going to give me $4,500, and that's what I'm going to put it in.
And what is the purpose of that? So let's look back. Your hobby for years was coins. Numismatics, am I correct? Numismatic. I never could pronounce that. And you wrote a column for the Toronto Star for years. Let's take coins. You bought a coin for $100 back in the day while you were alive, and then now it's worth $300. Is that a capital gain? Is that what they're looking for?
Under the Income Tax Act, it's called listed personal property, and there's $1,000 exemption for each
category. Okay, each item. So if you had 100 coins that went up $200 each one's exempt?
I'm not a tax person, but I think so.
Okay. So it becomes complicated when there's a lot of stuff in a property.
Except for one thing. If it's got a retail value of $300 and it would sell at auction for $300,
yes,
there's a discount for the auctioneer's fee. But if you want to sell it cash to somebody quickly, you may only be able to get $50, depending on the market.
Okay.
Because it may sit in a dealer's inventory for 7 years before a buyer comes along and says, I want this particular piece.
Well, this begs a question then. Why would I want, somebody phones me. I'm just an average person, a family member, a dear friend, phones me and says, Barry, I'd be honored if you'd be our executor. Would I have to have my head examined to do that?
I don't think so.
Well, it's a complicated process.
Well, first of all, the purpose of the appraisal is so the government can get its 1.5%.
Right.
And they're not going to argue with you over how you appraise $1,000 worth of coins.
Okay.
Or dishes or whatever. There's always two appraisals: what it would cost to replace and what somebody would buy it for wholesale.
Now this is a newer law, correct?
No, this has always been,
but it's being more enforced now?
I don't think it's been enforced. I don't see the government having enough people to attack coin collections or china sets.
Unless it's vast, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, if
you've got
$1 million collection of paintings, sure. But for the average household, there's no great value in the average household.
Knowing you, I know many times you've been an executor.
Yes.
But you're a trained professional.
Yes.
How easy is it for the average person, though?
The average person gets advice from a real estate agent, from a buyer of wholesale buyer of household contents, or from a lawyer. So there's no shortage of advice out there.
It depends, of course, who's watching this right now, what jurisdiction they're in. Because obviously, if somebody's watching this video and they're in a village of 500 people, they're limited in what's local. It becomes a
right, but you can always go to the county town or the next largest.
Right, we know that. So let me just throw this at you, finalizing this. Should someone fear being an executor?
I don't think there's, for the average estate, I don't think there's any fear of being executor. You're doing a good deed for the family of the deceased.
Now, you're one of 3 siblings, you're the executor, and you're doing all this and they're benefiting from it. Should the executor charge some fees for their services?
Well, first of all, you have to ask yourself, is there going to be a fight with my family?
Yes.
Are they going to get involved, and are they going to say you undersold this, or I want my money today,
Yes.
before we can get an income tax clearance?
Mm-hmm.
So there's always the possibility of a fight.
Yes.
As to should you fear being executor, I don't think so. If the family is on side with everything, and if there's a lot of communication as to what you're doing, hey, we got an offer for the house of $750,000. Is that okay? Because I'm going to accept it otherwise. If there's a lot of communication,
Can they take a fee though? The executor
can the executor take a fee? The answer is yes, but it's taxable.
It's income,
It's income.
but they're entitled for their time
They're entitled for their time
and their costs.
That's right. And this is where there might be a dispute among the siblings. Hey, you're getting an extra 5%. So if there's a potential dispute, don't take the money.
I understand.
But if there's a lot of work, rounding up information, getting rid of tons and tons of furniture, sure, take a fee or take part of a fee.
Interesting. Bob, thank you so much. That's Bob Aaron, Aaron and Aaron Lawyers. Thank you.